In this recording, I will be speaking about paranormal contracts. Now, listen carefully, this audio recording is not going to be about spooky stuff. I use the term paranormal for a reason. Supernatural has to do with the divine, has to do with things from the kingdom of heaven. Paranormal has to do with the manipulations of the dimensions on the earth realm. So paranormal is something demonic, okay? So that's why I use the term paranormal. Paranormal contracts. Now, what's a paranormal contract? We know what a contract is. A contract, that's between individuals or between companies and an individual. And when it's between states, governments, and international organizations, we call it a treaty. In Dutch, you only have the word contract. That covers both. But okay, a contract or a treaty is an established agreement written on paper between two or more parties to achieve a common goal, and each party has a right and responsibility, and there's always one party that how do I say that? There's one party that is the overseer of the agreement. That's what a contract or a treaty is. Why am I speaking about paranormal contracts? Look, such things exist. Okay? Let me give an example. We have Freddy. Freddy is from a middle class family. I tend to use Western names in my illustrations because most of my listeners are from the Western world, especially from the United States. So that's why I often use Western names. That's not a form of discrimination, it's a form of practicality. Look, so Freddy is from a middle class family. Freddy works at the postal office. He's a manager. Now, Freddy has been in a class during high school in which everyone hated a certain teacher. That teacher, he was traumatized and messed up in his mind, for real. It has to do with things he encountered in his past. But the teacher, when he was teaching at that high school, he was an excellent teacher. But people targeted him with mean comments and with meanness in general because of his oddness. Now Freddy joined them. He joined his peers. Why? As a teenager, often you want to fit in, you want to conform to be accepted, so you join people. Now, hold on a minute. Hold on a minute. That teacher, often when he went home, his wife would cheer him up and give him consolation for what he has gone through on the job. So after a few years, by this time Freddy was already gone. He was already in college, almost graduated. By this time, one of the deacons at a congregation decided to speak with that teacher and his wife because one of their grandchildren complained about grandma and grandpa often fighting with each other and almost divorcing. So that deacon decides to talk with the teacher, and the teacher speaks about his experience. And so the deacon, together with some other people from the congregation, they decide to pray and to break every yoke that's been placed upon him. Little did Freddy know, but because Freddy also contributed to the establishment of a pattern of violence towards that teacher, when the prayers were made and when those yokes were broken, there were reverse effects that affected Freddy. Now, Freddy is not aware of all of this, but the employees that Freddie hired for the job, they noticed that their boss is becoming, I would say, he becomes more and more irritated. He's often angry. And as a consequence, there is this heavy energy in the atmosphere there in the post office. So the employees that work there, they are affected by that waste energy, and most of them, without them being aware of it, let's say they join the negative atmosphere by reacting against. They think that by reacting against it, they are hindering it, but they are contributing to it. So after a while, Freddy is the one that's picked upon by his own employees. What happened here? Freddy, together with others, they've repeated accusations, and they have established this thick cloud of waste energy towards someone, and they did it over and over again. So what happened? They began to believe all those accusations they were uttering out. Their brains, all people were involved, will also build patterns concerning that those accusations they've uttered out. What happens now is that the moment they've confirmed those accusations by repeating them and by enforcing consequences, that's by keep recreating those waste energies in the climate, they've attracted demons onto them. And those demons recorded in their documents what those people established. Because listen, anytime you establish something in darkness, demons record it. I don't know exactly how they do it, if they have archives like libraries, but they do record it. So when that happens, when the demons record it, some demons from some principality in that neighborhood is going to put another demon in charge of that agreement that has been established collectively. Because whenever waste energy is generated, waste energy is what the demonic realm needs in order to operate. They can't operate without it. So whenever someone is involved in a pattern that creates that waste energy and they continue in it, they have become a partner of demons. Even if they're not aware that demons exist, even if they are atheists, it doesn't matter what their beliefs are. The fact that they are involved in the unfruitful works of darkness, as Apostle Paul labels it, because they are involved in it, they have become the partners of demons. And just like you have in the business world, when there's a contract made, they go with it to the court, to the civil court, and at the courthouse you have a solicitor, or let's say a lawyer in America. You have a lawyer that receives the contract, and he becomes the defense attorney for the primary party, in this case the company. So that whenever something goes wrong in interaction, there you always have the agreement that they can appeal upon. So for example, let's say you have a company that hires a smaller company to deliver services. And in the contract, it's written that if circumstances change, then the bigger company has to pay all the costs. Now, what if indeed something goes wrong in the economy and the smaller company cannot comply anymore, and now the bigger company wants them to pay all the costs that the bigger company has to make? What happens then? The smaller company then goes to the court of law, and at the court of law, they call on the witness, the solicitor, or say the lawyer that confirmed that agreement, and he can testify what is written in that agreement. And what happens as a consequence? The bigger company has to pay. They lose the court case. That's how it happens in the legal system. Well, a similar thing happens in the spirit realm, at least on the dark side. That's how it happens over there. That's why it's written in the New Testament that believers ought not to participate in the unfulfilled works of darkness. Because as I mentioned before, the moment you do that, you become a partner of unclean spirits, of malevolent entities. So in this case of Freddy, there was this particular unclean spirit that became the witness of the agreement that he made together with his peers. And the pattern was established, so it kept going on. Even when they left and there were new pupils, the new pupils just got involved in the pattern that was established. That teacher, let's call the teacher John, was being targeted. Now, the moment John became delivered from that pattern, the natural consequence that those that established the pattern will have to, let me say, they will now have to receive all the waste that's left in that pattern of that take cloud. They have to receive it all. So it's now returning onto them. So let's say that John now notices, not John, I mean, let's say that Fred now notices that at his job, he is quite unhappy and he wants to change it. He can go out more often, go to the discotheque, or he might hang out with friends. But it won't change anything. Why? Because he has an agreement that's signed in the spirit realm. He has a paranormal contract. And this paranormal contract is still valid onto him because he has not repented. He has not repented of that way of thinking and has not repented of that agreement against John, that teacher. Because he has agreed with his peers against John. Well, this is working bad for him. So let's say Freddy now goes to, because Freddy is not a believer, he goes to some fortune teller. The fortune teller receives information from unclean spirits. So when John goes to a fortune teller, the demon's already aware that he is going to the fortune teller. So the demon inside the fortune teller is going to communicate with other demons in a spirit realm to find out information about this Freddy that's coming. So it can go like this, okay? So the demon inside the fortune teller asks the other demons, look, you're telling me that this guy, this Freddy of 31 years old is coming here? What does he want? And then you have several other demons, those are familiar spirits that have followed Freddy almost all his life. They tell that demon, listen, this Freddy here, he's a jerk. He's an a-hole. I'm not saying the words, though, to some people being sensitive. Some of my listeners may be sensitive. But that guy is a jerk. He's an a-hole. During high school, he established a paranormal contract with his peers against John, a math teacher. And that math teacher has encountered, now let me say that math teacher has received many emotional damage by the treatment that he underwent at the hand of those students. He and his wife both suffered, and even their marriage almost crashed because of it. And because of the endangerment of their marriage, also grandchildren were affected by it. So the demon inside the fortune teller then says, oh, okay, I understand. So this a-hole here is now coming just to find relief for what he has established. The other demon says, well, that's it. Okay, so Freddy is there, and the fortune teller receives the information that the demon inside of her is giving her telepathically. So the fortune teller asks Freddy, you had a teacher in high school that gave math, right? Freddy says, oh yes, yes. Okay, what is this? Does his name begin with a G, or is it John or Johnson? Freddy says, yes, Mr. Johnson. That's who he is. The fortune teller asks him, Freddy, what was your relationship with that man? Well, he was a math teacher. People didn't really like him, but, well, he was a good teacher. Then the fortune teller tells him, listen, Freddy, the reason why you are in such trouble is because that man has reversed your agreement upon you. And Freddy thinks, what agreement? The fortune teller tells him, listen, You performed witchcraft on that man. And Freddy thinks, okay, listen, woman, I came here open-minded to see what you could help me with, but you're going way too far now. I know nothing about the occult. I've never went to seances. I'm an agnostic atheist, so I don't even believe in a supernatural. I don't even go to church. I don't read the Bible and all that crap. So listen, just don't tell me I did witchcraft on that man because you're insulting my intelligence. The fortune teller tells him, listen, Freddy, this is what you've done, and unless you make this right, this is not going to go away. Freddy becomes offended, pays the money, and leaves. And then Freddy encounters one of his former classmates, Jennifer. He met her on a railway station. And Jennifer, he found out, worked at some firm, some banking firm. And Jennifer told him about marital issues she had, and also that her husband was beating her. Freddy thought, what the heck is going on? And Jennifer begins speaking about Mr. Johnson. And Freddy asked her, why are you talking about Mr. Johnson? Because Jennifer told them, because, well, I feel a bit bad for how we treated that man. Maybe we shouldn't have treated him that way. Freddy, who understands this is a sign that he needs to let go, doesn't want to let go. And what happens now? Freddy begins to justify their behavior against Mr. Johnson, saying, well, Mr. Johnson was a bit weird. Yes, I know he lost his daughter in a car accident that may have affected him, but nevertheless, he should have just behaved. And by the way, we were just teenagers. Man, you cannot blame us. He was justifying what he did. What happened at the time? The familiar spirits that were stuck at Freddy, they heard and witnessed what happened. So they spoke to one another. Well, fellas, you heard what he said, you heard what he did. He's still in agreement with that contract he made. One of the demons says, well, there is going to be some disasters in his life because of this. Then another demon says, well, it's his own problem. We told him through that clairvoyant woman that he needs to stop. Because this is what you need to understand. Demons will not refer you to salvation. They won't refer you to Jesus Christ. They won't give acknowledgement to the Most High. But often they will tell you the facts as they are. They will tell you things are true. But even when they tell you things are true, they're still lying because they are pushing you in a direction that's not right. Because what they should have told Freddy was, Freddy, you're lost. You don't have the Most High. You need to be saved. And so that after you've been saved, you need to be delivered, so that you are free from all those curses and from all those tensions, so you can serve the Lord and do His will for your life. Of course, demons won't tell you this. They won't. But they will tell you the facts of what's going on. But by giving the facts, they know that you don't know. By informing you in a certain direction, they're lying to you. So that's why I should never go to clairvoyant people, or you should never go to fortune tellers. Because even if those unclean spirits reveal to you what's going on, they are still lying to you when they're telling you. They're lying to you, but well, they're telling the truth. It may sound contradicting, but just think about it. They're telling true facts, which is true, but they're sending you in the wrong direction, which is false. So they're still lying. Well, Jennifer is a believer, and she realizes that, hold on a minute, I need deliverance. And she got through deliverance. She divorced that husband because that husband was no good unto her. And look at this. Shortly afterwards, she met another husband. She met another man that she married speedily afterwards. and she had no more complaints as she used to have before. She realized that by joining the unfruitful works of darkness that were going on around her, she had become involved in collective enforcement of spells. And by joining and participating in the unfruitful works of darkness, she has bound herself. She realized all of that then, and she learned from it. Freddy, at the other hand, didn't want to learn. He didn't want to give up. So, long story short, Freddy got into a fight at a bar. He ended up in the hospital. He ended up paralyzed, and therefore he lost his job. And he ended up in some psychiatric institution, so some psychiatric hospital, and he became old in there. No family, no relatives visited him. Now, this may sound like a very dramatic story, but such things happen. Now, the other students that also participated in the same unfruitful work of darkness, they did not have the same outworking as Freddy. Some of them remained married, they remained married, they had grandchildren, but they had a lot of tensions within their families. So it didn't work out the same way. Nevertheless, whenever you participate in an unfruitful work of darkness, you are signing a paranormal contract. That's what you're doing, despite whether you're aware of it or not. That's why, okay, before I finish this recording, and remember, whenever you sign a paranormal contract, there's always going to be an unclean spirit that's going to haunt you because of the validity that you gave to that agreement. Okay, let me give another example very quick. In the 1960s, you had radical feminists that were marching and protesting, that a militant attitude against men. They had signs upon which were written, "All men are rapists." That's a very harsh and evil statement. All men are rapists. Well, unfortunately, there are feminists today. I'm not saying all feminists, absolutely not, but there are feminists today that still agree with that crap. Even though they are in a minority, they're still around. Well, let's say you have a young woman that receives feminism in high school, but let's say she becomes a hardcore anti-male feminist. So she begins to see men as the enemy. The fact that she has now joined that unfruitful work, the fact that she has agreed with that statement, all men are rapists, even on the unconscious level, she's involved in an unfruitful work of darkness, and because of that, she has now signed a paranormal contract. So what's the consequence? She may be treating men kind and with respect, but because she has this agreement, now you have an unclean spirit that's haunting her. So and let's say that let's call this woman. Let me think of a name. Let's call her. Let me think of a name. Sabrina. So now Sabrina has graduated. She has her job now, and now she wants a mate. She wants to settle down. But she has agreed with so much crap. And for each of those agreements, there is a demon that's following her. So now you have about 8 unclean spirits that are following her, that are haunting her. One of those statements are that men are no good, the other is all men are rapists, and another thing is that man needs to be mastered, and she had all these weird things she agreed with. Now what happens now? Anytime, let's say that she's looking for a mate. She wants to settle, she wants to have kids. Let's say that in her environment, there are like 2,400 potential mates for her, men that suit her, I would say men that not complete, but men that are a match for her character, her interests. They have the same level of income. Let's say you have 24 potential mates around her. Anytime one of such potential mates comes near her, those unclean spirits are going to generate attention. And that energy, they get that energy from Sabrina herself because she's operating in darkness. They generate this tension around her that will make those men uncomfortable. And those men, unconsciously, without being aware of it, they tend to back off away from Sabrina. And even if Sabrina begins to date someone and things go well, somewhere along the line, something goes wrong. That Sabrina becomes offended and she breaks off the dates and she's so-called single again. What's going on here? Is Sabrina bewitched? Well, nobody bewitched her. She bewitched herself by agreeing with stuff she should have never agreed with. That other guy she was dating is now heartbroken and he's now asking himself, what heck did I do wrong? But if that man is holding on to that feeling of guilt, he has also agreed with an unfulfilled work of darkness, namely he's in self-condemnation. So he needs to be careful also. And by the way, they're both men and women. Not only when it comes to sexual relationships or marriage, but they're both men and women related to all kinds of subjects and areas of life, whether it's finances or health or spirituality. They have so many agreements that if you would write down what they've agreed with, you would be shocked. But they're unconscious of it. Even if you would confront them directly with it, often they would think that you're the one that's crazy. So understand this. When someone does not let go of agreements that can't be defended by the word, then they have a stronghold, and that stronghold is giving unclean spirits and unclean powers and principalities access to them. And look at this. When someone becomes aware that they need to repent, that they need to change their mind, but they keep on defending their old dysfunctional way of thinking or those evil statements, they become unclean. And they become dangerous to anyone that comes in contact with them. Look, I'm recording this message to inform you. Okay, I don't know your circumstances. I don't know the people that are involved in your circumstances. So I cannot tell you what is going on with you. I just hope you are informed by this message so that you will recognize what's going on. Because some of you are blaming yourself for things you shouldn't be blamed for. Okay? Because look, if someone else if someone else is operating in darkness, then listen, they are operating in darkness. So it does not matter how well you treat them. It doesn't matter how much knowledge, how much understanding, and how much good manners you have, they are still operating in darkness. So that darkness is still there. And that darkness is going to affect them and their environment and also you. So if someone, let's say you had a friend that cut you off, doesn't want to hang out with you anymore, and later you may think, oh dear, I shouldn't have said that, or why did I do that? No, listen. If that individual chooses to remain in darkness, then be glad that they've cut ties with you. That saves you and spares you a lot of trouble. I mean it. And let's say that you were the one that had some darkness and that caused it. Now, then rejoice, because now you are alert that something needs to happen, and now you're not blind anymore and you can repent and be delivered for whatever that agreement was. Now, I'm going to close now for real. Listen, watch out what you agree with. And also be willingly and capable to defend what you agree with. Because if you can't defend what you're agreeing with, or if the evidence is contrary to what you're agreeing with, then that's a sign that there is danger. And again, don't chase after people that persist in darkness. If they've left you, be happy that they've left you. Because now you don't have to, now you are free from that danger they're carrying with them. Okay? Well, that being said, enjoy your day. Shalom.